Okay. You guys ready? I hope you're ready. You ready though? Are you ready? I'm ready. I got it. I have to wet the whistle a little bit before I begin with the alcohol. Okay. All right, good. I see some of you guys getting up in here. Good. Good. Important. Important. We're going to get started. Today's it's an interesting one. All right, let's go ahead and move you guys in. Turn this down and get started. All right. What's up, boys? What's up, boys? Boys and girls? Are there any girls? Probably not, but what's up anyway? Welcome, everybody, to the very best part of your week. It is called Live with Jack. Hi, I'm Jack. And today on episode number, what are we on? 125? Episode 125. Papa Jack's going to be teaching you about the ick. We're going to be talking about the ick. Oh, he gives me the ick. We're going to be talking about what exactly that is, why girls say stupid shit like that, how you can avoid giving them the ick, and most importantly, how to play the reverse Uno card whenever you do. But before we do all of that, if you would like to truly enjoy today's lesson, if you would like to take it to the tip top, if you'd like to reach the height of humanity, the culmination of all of civilization, all you need to do is grab your glass, your mug, or your flask, a chalice, a stein, or even a cask. Raise it high. Let's make a splash. It's time now for our libation bash. Toast the night and enjoy the mood. Together now we drink some booze. On your mark, let's not wait. It's Cheers with Chaps, so don't be late. Cheers, boys. This one's for our Aussies out there. We've got some Cooper's Original Pale Ale. It's not bad. It's not bad. Certainly better than that Budweiser's the other week. That one's going to stay in my mind for years to come as... Oh, okay, good. So, welcome to the party, boys and girls. And let's go ahead and jump straight into today's lesson. I need my pointer marker. Here we are. We got red today. All right. So the first thing that we need to understand, if you want to understand the ick, you have to understand the dichotomy between the masculine and the feminine, how they are different naturally, and the expectations that come along with them. So generally speaking, the masculine is more built toward outward affecting things, as in men are built stronger to be able to affect change, to be able to cause things to change, to be able to force their will upon the world around them. Whereas the feminine is by nature more internally focused. It's more focused on thoughts, emotions, feelings. It's more focused on receiving, on being given things, on following the lead of the masculine that is forcing the change. This is important because it's that basic assumption, that assumption of the masculine being outwardly focused and the feminine being inwardly focused, that causes the ick. So it's important for us to understand that, and for us to understand that there are certain cultural expectations that come along with this. There are expectations that these things, these actions, these behaviors are manly. These actions or these behaviors are girly, or are, at the very least, definitively not masculine. And we're going to get to some of that in a little bit. But you have to understand that essentially what the ick is it's when there's some kind of misalignment there, right? So this misalignment between what they expect from you and how they see you behave or how they see you act. That misalignment is what creates disgust. Because they expect you to behave one way, they expect you to act one way, and then when you do not, that's what gives them the ick. Okay? Now, this is not about everything in the world. This is not about like, oh, she expected you to come home early last night, but instead you stayed out drinking with the boys. Actually, that's going to do the opposite of give her the ick for some other reasons, right? We're going to talk about in a minute here. But That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when she expects you to do something that is, again, traditionally masculine, and you do not do that thing, or even worse, you respond to it in a traditionally feminine way. That misalignment between what she expects and what you do, or how you react, or how you receive some action, is what causes the misalignment and ultimately the disgust. Now, what I'm about to tell you is going to sound crazy because a lot of this doesn't make any sense. It is not logical. That's correct. It's not logical because it doesn't need to be logical. A lot of this is gut level reactions. A lot of this is the same way that, like, you can immediately tell whenever there's like a fat girl who's fat, but if she lost a few pounds, she'd actually be really pretty. Or when you look at a girl and she's a fat girl and you're like, oh, you're a sailor. Like, no thanks. Like, you get this gut level reaction to it. And it's not necessarily just because of the fat thing. It's because there is something in your lizard brain that is going off that's saying, like, nope, that is not what it is that I'm looking for. That is not what I want. And they have this same gut level reaction to some of the behaviors and some of the actions that you take as well. So it's important to remember that as I'm going through some of these examples, and you're going to be shouting into your screen and hopefully not throwing your beer, always protect the alcohol, protect it, my precious, protect the beer. But you might get angry enough that you want to throw the beer because it is not logical, because it does not make sense. And that's correct, because it is a gut level lizard brain reaction. No, thank you. I don't want that. Ew, gross. The opposite of the reaction I have whenever I see beer. I say, yes, I want that. Absolutely. Let's get some. All right, cool. So, causes of the ick. There are, oh my God, so many of them. And if you if you want to have just an anger heyday, if you want to go down a wild ass rabbit hole, go on to YouTube or go on to Instagram or TikTok. I assume TikTok has a search feature. I have no idea. This shows you how much I don't use social media. I assume that Instagram and TikTok have social media like search features the same way YouTube does, but I'm not certain. So go on there and actually search for gives me the ick or gives her the ick or something like that. And you're just going to find like all of these different shorts of these like smash cuts of all this stuff where this girl will say just the dumbest shit in the world. And she'll be like, oh yeah, I saw my boyfriend try to chase down a ping pong ball that was bouncing away. And oh my God, it just gave me the ick so hard. You're like, what the fuck did you want him to do? Did you want him to just like be like, no, ping pong ball, you must come back to me, right? Like, stupid. And it is stupid. And it is stupid. This whole thing, by the way, don't misunderstand me here. I'm explaining this to you so that you can understand the cultural phenomenon behind this, and so that you get where all of this is coming from and what it actually is, because the ick is a new word. It's a new form of this. But the gut level reaction is very real. It's very true. So it is kind of an important little side note to understand. But understanding why women are this way and how they act this way in modern society is maybe the more important thing. And it doesn't make any sense. I'm making fun of all this stuff. None of this is real, except that it is true. So let's go through it. So we have two types of ick, basically. Type 1 is you are affected by the outside world. Now, remember back what we were saying at the beginning for each side. The masculine side is outwardly focused, meaning their job is to affect and change the outside world according to their will. So two types of things that can give them the ick. Either one, the world affects you, which is not outwardly focused, that's inwardly focused, that's receiving, that is feminine by nature. So that gives them the ick. Or two, you are unable to change the outside world. You are unable to affect change. You are impotent in your main cause, which is to be strong enough to change the world to your will. Those are the two types of things that fundamentally give them the ick. Now, there are some logical ways that women can feel like this. The type 1, affected by the outside world. If you get pushed around by somebody, somebody's bullying you, somebody's fucking with you, somebody's being mean to your girlfriend, and you don't stand up for yourself, or you don't stand up for her, you don't push back, you don't cut things off immediately, you are letting the outside world affect you. And that is a very logical reason for a girl to get the ick. You are refusing your masculine nature. You're refusing to do the thing, and you're just letting the world happen to you. This is another reason why women hate men who don't try, who don't do things. Like, women hate an unemployed dude, but they love an unemployed artist who's chasing down a dream. And that's because one of them is actively trying to affect and change the world and is refusing to just take it lying down. But the dude who like collects welfare and just unemployment benefits and stuff, she's gonna hate that because it feels like you're letting the world happen to you. So this is the logical form of type 1, being affected by the world. Now, the illogical form of this, being affected by the world, is like, I am so exhausted. I didn't get enough sleep last night. I have to take a nap. This makes no sense, but it does give girls the ick. The idea of their man needing to stop and rest and take a nap, that feels very weak. It feels very incapable. It feels very impotent. And so that's going to give them the ick. I've also heard some people say that, like, whenever my guy says that he feels cold and he has to put on a sweater, it doesn't make any sense, but it gives me the ick. It's the same thing. It's the idea of being affected by the outside world, by the world around you. When the world around you does something to you and it affects you, you are receiving, which is, again, by nature, a feminine trait. So it gives them the ick, even when it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Now let's look at the type 2 version of ick, which is you are unable to change the world around you. You are unable to affect the change. You are unable to bend things to your will. This, again, has logical kinds and has illogical kinds. The logical example of this, of being unable to change the world, unable to do things the way that you want, would be like a man who's unable to change the oil in his own car, right? Where, like, there's a perfectly good argument for not doing it, where, like, look, I don't have the time for that shit. I don't have the patience for that. Somebody else needs to do it because my time is worth more to me than getting the oil changed for like $40 or $50, whatever it costs. Okay, that's fine, but you need to be able to do it. Being unable to do it, especially something that's so simple and so naturally masculine, because whenever we think of automobile engineering of any kind, right, even any kind of maintenance, automobile maintenance, it's naturally going to be a more masculine pursuit. That's how we view it, and that's where the expectations lie. So something as simple as being able to change the oil in your car is by nature a masculine thing. If you are unable to do that, that's going to give the girl an ick. And let's not lie, it's kind of logical. It makes sense. It's fine for her to feel that way. However, there are also illogical versions of this. Like if a girl says, like, oh my God, we went to this fancy restaurant and we had to wait in line for an hour. And that gave me the ick that he couldn't force his will on it. He couldn't get us in faster. He couldn't cut in line. He couldn't name drop or something like that and get us in there. That is the illogical version of being unable to change the world. So it's essentially having unreasonable expectations for your ability to change the world in absolutely unacceptable ways. Like cutting in line, we all just accept as part of society. You cannot do that thing, right? So there are illogical and unreasonable forms of this, but essentially both of these come from the same place, which is you are impotent in your ability to change the world around you, to foist your will upon the world and cause everything else to revolve around you, which by nature gives them the ick because it's just not masculine enough. All right, now there are thousands more examples of causes of the ick, and you know what actually might be kind of fun is for you guys in the comments, if y'all come up with some other reasons or some other causes for the ick that are funny that we can kind of talk about and break down a little bit, that would be a really fun thing to add into the Q&A a little bit later. So if you've got some ideas or you've got some examples for that, or if you find some online, you're welcome to throw them in there and we can talk about them and dive into it a little bit more later. But let's talk about how exactly one avoids giving girls the ick. So at its base, all of these things all come down to functioning in the world without enough confidence and self-assuredness. Even the things that don't make sense here, Like the idea of I'm so exhausted, I need to take a nap. That is a logical thing to do, but it is naturally, like it is necessarily, it is an unconfident thing. It is saying, I do not have confidence that I will be able to act well for the rest of the day unless I take some time now to rest and recuperate. So it is by nature an unconfident thing. However, you can push through all this bullshit just by being ridiculously confident, ridiculously self-assured, never question anything that you do or say or think or feel or any of it at all, and just power through like a fucking juggernaut walking through walls. This is how you avoid giving the ick. Now, I'm not saying that this is what you should do, but this is what you would do if you absolutely just did not ever want to give a girl the ick. Self-assuredness, confidence is the name of the game. The next one here is to be like water. If you're constantly moving, if you're not stopping to question, to worry about things that have happened or things that have the results of the former actions, previous actions, then you're always going to be focused on the next thing. And if you're always focused on the next thing, then you're never worried about what's already happened. And if you're always moving forward like a shark and you're never focused on what happened behind you, you're only focused on what's ahead, then there's nothing for her to remember that's going to give her the ick, because she's always looking at what you're doing next. She's going to follow your lead on all of these things. Now, once again, I'm not actually recommending this because I do think that there is genuine value in stopping to reflect and to pay attention to some of the things that you did, because maybe you can learn from it and do better. However, stopping to reflect, stopping to think about things, stopping to pay attention to results and try to improve on them, well, that is naturally going to be more of a feminine quality, and it just might give her the ick. So stick to your guns, man. Stick to your guns. Whatever you've done, it is absolutely correct, and you can do it again. Consequences be damned. Keep on going, and you'll never give anyone the ick. That's for sure. Next, act intentionally. Now, this is genuinely just really good advice. Act intentionally. Everything that you do should be on purpose, or at least look on purpose, even if it isn't. You should always move your body in a way that you intend to, even if you don't. Even if you're not sure exactly what it is that you're going to do. I talk a lot about using hand motions and using body language and things like that. I don't plan what I'm going to be doing. I don't have a conversation with myself and say, like, okay, cool, every time I say this word, I'm going to use this exact body language. I'm going to use this exact hand symbol. I'm going to plan this stuff out. It's not like that. So it's not actually intentional, but it looks intentional. There is a clear start and stop point to every time that I move my hands, right? There's this range. And this range, by the way, total side note, really useful tip. This is your home base here, like from about like the bottom of your titties to like just under your chin. This is your range. And then you have your inward range until you've got about 6 inches or so between your hands. And then same thing where you've got about 6 inches past your shoulders. This box right in here, this is home base. So whenever you're talking with your hands and you want to use your hands, you're not sure where to put them, you're not sure what to do, this is exactly the spot. You want your elbows slightly bent, your wrists loose, not limp, but loose. They're not tight. And this is your spot. You keep your hands here. You can talk all day long, and your body language will look so natural and so confident. So that was a total aside of actual good advice amidst this shit show of a lesson. So, but that's okay because I power through it with pure confidence and self-assuredness, like water, always moving forward, like a shark. Yeah, baby. And the last thing that you need to do to avoid giving people the ick is to cultivate a powerful image. Now, this is a thing that you can actually do, and you can do it for yourself, and then eventually that will grow out, and other people will see it this way, because you can start to affect and change the world around you. Now, I've done live streams where I've talked very deeply about how you can actually control the world and how you can alter your perception to literally change what happens to you and how your life goes. So that is all possible. However, in this case, you want to cultivate a powerful image, meaning that you want other people to see you as constantly in control of not just your life, but also the world around you, and that it will bend to your will, that you will get the things that you want whenever you demand that the world bend to what you want, which is not as crazy as it sounds on its face, because we're not actually trying to bend a spoon with our mind. However, there are a lot of things that you can do that make it seem like you're able to bend a spoon with your mind. And this starts small. This starts with yourself. This starts with demanding things or asking for things that are reasonable. Most people are scared to do that. Most people are scared to ask for something reasonable. Even something that somebody owes them. They're like, oh, it's a little bit awkward to ask them to do this for me, or for them to ask them to give this to me, even though they said they would, or even though they're supposed to. It's an awkward conversation. People don't like to do that, right? But if you start there, start with reasonable things, normal things that make perfect sense. And then you move from there on to requests, but requests that are going to be requited, meaning that you are offering something in return. However, you are requesting that somebody do something for you, that they give you something of their own free will, of their own volition. And the more that you do this, this is essentially sales or anything like that, anything where you're asking for something up front and then you will provide something in return. That this is sales, right? And once you're able to do that, then you know that you can ask people for things and they will do it. They will give it to you and they will give you things. And oftentimes they'll give it to you not on anything other than promises on your word, which again, you can kind of make as you go. And then you can meet your promises, do the things that you say you're going to do for sure. But the good news is that once you realize that, then you're able to start actually making demands or requests that are unrequited, as in, I'm not offering to give you anything in return. However, I am asking you to do me a favor. And that is a thing, that is a skill that you actually can learn by doing the sales up front, right? By making equal trade offers. But then later on, once you get confident and comfortable with that, then you can ask people to do things for you, to do favors for you. And they will, because you got good at making the ask. And once you're able to ask people to do things for you and to help you with stuff, you can actually make it look like you get to control the world around you. You get to control your own fate, your own destiny. And it will feel that way too. So you can genuinely cultivate a powerful image and control your world, control your life in an incredible amount of ways that don't seem to the naked eye to be anything short of magic. And they never give a girl the ick. So, bonus. Now, reverse Uno card. A girl says, oh, Jack, he gives me the ick. How do I deal with that? Easy. Flip it and reverse it, because I don't care. Stop caring. Stop caring. And you might be thinking to yourself, oh, Jack, that's easy for you to say, right? You already have a wonderful girl. You have a wife. Oh yeah, of course you don't care if some girl says that you give her the ick. Right. But here's the thing. If you care that she gives you the ick, that is naturally feminine and receiving. And that's going to give her the ick. Caring about giving her the ick is going to give her more of the ick. So genuinely, not even making this up. You want to stop this. You want to reverse it. Stop caring. Stop caring. It does not matter. It does not matter. It does not matter. This girl says, oh, I hate it when he does this. Or, oh, that thing he does. Oh, it gives me the ick. Oh, okay. I don't care. Straight up don't care. That is, first of all, that's step one. That's what you have to do. The other thing that this does is this demonstrates incredible confidence, because the fact is that I don't give a shit what this girl thinks about me. I don't care. I do not care. Is there anything in that relationship dynamic between she and I that could possibly be more confident than I literally do not care? You can say whatever you want about me, and I'm, oh, okay, cool. That it doesn't change my day, doesn't change my life, doesn't make me feel sad, doesn't make me go to bed at night and like I'm thinking about it, it's echoing in my mind. I'm like, oh, but Ashley got the ick. I don't care. I do not care. It's never going to show up in my mind ever again. That is ultimate confidence, and I know that. I know that I don't care, and I know that she's not going to affect me because I am not affected by the world. Oh, right? Remember, that's what gives you the ick. Yeah, you don't care. Doesn't matter. This is absolutely a maturity thing. Listen, there's no girl who's actually old enough to be in a serious relationship who would ever say anything like this. That does not exist. Anybody who says something like this is still 15. Now, they might technically and legally not be 15, but they are mentally. Like this is an absolute sign of immaturity to be like, oh yeah, my boyfriend, like he said that he was cold, and so it gave me the ick, and now I just can't ever see him the same again. Like, oh, okay, cool. Like, fuck off, go back to middle school. I don't care. Like, this is purely a maturity test. Any girl who talks about shit like this, she's not worth dating. She's not worth dating, genuinely. Like, just assuming that everything else is fine, you can ignore it and just be like, okay, cool. Maybe it's one of those dumb things that girls do. Like, they watch stupid soap operas or they watch stupid rom-coms or whatever, and you're saying, okay, I guess it's fine. But you could this is also a red flag to pay attention to. If she says stuff like this, if she follows social media trends like this, it's a pretty big red flag. I don't know. I might run from it. But anyway, that's up to you. Now, the last thing here, and this is, again, a genuine piece of advice inside of this mountain of shit. Here I am, King Turd up on shit mountain with the self-validation above all. Because your own self-validation, the way that you feel about yourself is the most important thing. It's literally more important than anything else. The way that I feel about me and the way that I feel about Jack and about the things that I produce and the things that I do and the stuff that I talk about and the way that I act in my life. This is more important than what you think. This is more important than what some girl thinks. This is even more important than what my wife thinks, because what I think is going to directly affect how I feel about myself. It's going to affect my self-confidence, my self-assuredness, my ability to keep going, my ability to actually do the things that I need to do in my life, to take care of the shit that I've got to take care of so that I can have the life that I want to have. All of that rests on me genuinely believing that I'm doing a good job and that I like myself. That self-validation is the most important thing in the world. And this is one of the reasons why it doesn't matter what fucking virgins on YouTube comment sections say about me. It doesn't matter what the angry feminists in the Instagram comment sections say about me. It doesn't matter how many times some teeny bopper watches this and is like, oh, Jack, he gives me the ick. Oh, did you see his face? Oh, did you see his hairline? Oh, he gives me the ick. I don't give a fuck. All that matters is that I like me and I like what I'm doing. And I'm just going to keep on rocking and rolling, because self-validation is literally the most important thing in the whole world. If you don't have this, if you do not believe in yourself, if you do not have confidence in yourself and what it is that you're doing, then you need to stop, take a step back from everything else and fix that first. Figure out why you don't have that. Figure out what you can do to get there, to gain that self-confidence and to actually fix those mental issues. Because once you do that, you get to control the world. But until you do that, you're stuck and you don't get to do anything. So, with all that said, if you found any of this insightful somehow, entertaining, interesting, or if you just enjoyed the stupid faces that I make as I talk about this stuff, then do me a big favor right now and hit that like button, smash the thumbs up, because it helps me, helps the channel, helps other people find this, and it'll help all these other guys learn how to avoid giving teeny boppers the ick. Wow, how useful. What a great service to society we all do together. Yes, excellent. For the good of the common man. Ha, cool. And with all that said, I'm done being a communist, and I'm going to bring in my partner in capitalist crime, coming in from Norway. Paul, how are you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good.
Good.
Busy days as always. How you been?
Oh man, fucking busy as hell. Oh, by the way, before we move on, anybody who's here, we are not having a live stream next week. Housekeeping, I should have mentioned that at the beginning. We are not having a live stream next week. I know I never miss a live stream. Next Thursday, we're having a baby, so I will not be here. Okay? Next Thursday, do not be looking for me on the live stream. Don't assume that I am dead or in jail, which is generally the assumption if I'm not here on a Thursday. This time it is planned. Okay. So, busy, to answer your question, right? A whole lot going on. Oh, let's say goodbye to you guys. Oh, goodbye, recorded people. Ah. All right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm still gonna assume you're in prison or dead.
yeah. I mean, it's almost always just a fair assumption that if I am not actively talking to you at the moment, there is at least a Schrodinger's cat chance that I am dead or in prison,
Or drunk on the street.
which means I'm on my way to one of those two eventual outcomes. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
So let's jump into the questions for today.
let's jump in.
One of the ones we got was, what does it mean when a girl says she has a lot of guy friends? Is it instantly a red flag to avoid, or does it depend?
A girl says she has a lot of guy friends. There are situations where it's okay, like if she's in theater or something like that, and so you just know that all the guy friends around her are gay, then it's probably fine. But I don't know. A lot of guy friends, that's probably going to be a red flag for me. Like, unless she very specifically tells you, like, I have a lot of male coworkers, like, okay, that's fine, right? Because, like, Lady North is a programmer. Almost all of her coworkers are men. Okay, that's not weird. But if all of her friends who she was hanging out with the other time were dudes, it would raise some red flags and some questions for sure. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you a lot there. Of course, I would say the one thing it depends for me is if whenever they hang out, it always is as a group. That's kind of the one that decides for me whether it's a red flag or it's okay.
What do you mean?
So I know from the past experiences that I have friends who are like, I know girls who are in groups of friends where they'll have their girls, there'll be guys, like there's a group of friends.
Mm,
And whenever she hangs out with any of them, it's always as a group.
okay.
Like either it's a duo or it's a trio or 4 or 5 people, and it's always them. Like they've been doing this since university or even high school.
Mm,
Like then it's somewhat okay. I am still skeptical of why the guy is in that group.
right.
However, I do not see him as any competition or something that I need to worry about.
Yes. Yeah, no, I can see that. And if this is like an ensemble cast situation where every time that they hang out together, they do it all as one group. Like, okay, that's reasonable. That's fine. But I think maybe the question becomes, how many times have people within this group dated other people within this group? Because if the answer is more than one, that it's like, oh, okay, cool. So this is just like a fucking spit swap. Like, okay. Like that's what people are clearly here for. So I'm gonna say final judgment, it depends. However, 85 to 90% of the time, it's a red flag, and you should honestly, I mean, like, don't be concerned. Don't try to like fix it. Just like don't be in that situation.
Yeah.
Right. Don't date
Yeah,
a girl
because
who thinks that she's one of the guys, because that's not a thing.
because if you try to fix it, it shows insecurity, and now you're giving her the ick again.
You give her the ick.
Yeah,
So this topic was actually kind of a request, but I thought it would be so funny to just clown on the whole thing. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll take that on. This will be a good time.
yeah, I don't think I've ever heard that used towards me in for as
Well, I
long
mean,
as I
like,
can.
of course you haven't, because we're not 17, right? Like, So I understand what the women are talking about when they say this. Like, I immediately get where they're coming from, but the fact that they're verbalizing like the stupidity that goes on in their head is like, you're not supposed to say the quiet part out loud, right? But okay, cool. If you're going to, we're going to make fun of you. What's our next question, buddy?
The next question are, why are some girls really high maintenance and some aren't? And is it something you have control over, or is it just the way girls are? Personally,
I'm afraid I don't have a very positive answer for this, so I'm going to let you go first.
I don't think mine is very positive either, but I think it's directly correlated to their self-esteem. Girls that are confident in themselves and know where they're going are very, very low maintenance. Like they trust in what they do and they don't need the confirmation of others, then usually they are very low maintenance. At least that's my experience. So I'm curious to what you have to say about that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but I would add something onto it, which is maybe like you're focusing down in the details, maybe one step lower, where I might zoom out just a little bit more and look at it as attention. So this is some form of attention-seeking behavior.
Mm,
And some girls seek attention, back down to like zoom in on what you were saying, which is they'll seek attention because they don't have the self-confidence, they don't have the self-esteem, they don't have the self-assuredness, and they need you to constantly be validating them. That is one form of high maintenance because that's one form of attention. However, back up and then moving over to a different place where we can zoom in, there are also some women who are high maintenance in that they have like a bit of a codependency. Like they want to always be doing things together with their partner. Everything that we do is an opportunity for us to create memories and build our story together and all that. And then zooming out and moving over again to zoom in on a different type of attention. You would have the girl who views attention as a proxy for caring. So this would be like you're like the attention whore type girl of like an Instagram model or somebody like that. Somebody who literally the currency in her mind that dictates how much people care about her is attention. And so in her mind, if you aren't paying attention to her at least as much as other people do, then you must not like her as much as other people do, where it's a proxy for love. And so I think that all of these together all qualify as high maintenance, but zoomed out to the bird's eye view, it's just some sort of high-end attention-seeking behavior. And there is no fixing it. That's not a thing. Because whatever is causing this, whatever is the root cause of this, is very, very deep. Whether that comes from the insecurities, or it comes from the codependency, or it comes from the attention as a proxy for love, or and maybe that goes even deeper into like, well, if you view attention as a proxy for love, maybe it's because you were trained out of feeling love as a child, or you were told not to feel these things or something like that. Maybe these emotions have been squashed and you have deeper issues to deal with. You can't fix that for somebody. That's not a thing. None of these things are fixable by you. And even by the girl themselves, they might not be fixable. But if it is by someone, it is only by the self. As to why some are more high maintenance than others, oh, come on, man. Like that's like saying, why are some people taller than others? Like I don't know, just like a combination of factors: genetics, environment, culture, how their parents treated them growing up, or how the bullies at school acted to them or didn't act to them, or how much their teachers paid attention to them, or who knows. Like, there are so many different variables and factors that go into creating the end result that you see in front of you. Even though, like, I know the guy who asked this, he's like, I think he's 22. And so, like, even though you are young and the girls you're meeting are young, they have 20 plus years of just stuff and all the variables that come with that. So what causes it? I don't know, man. A lot. But there is no fixing it. And so you're either the kind of person who likes the drama of the high maintenance, which there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because the high maintenance girls, they can be like your attention whores and stuff like that, or they could be like you're just kind of damaged people who constantly need something new. So like the cheater type would be another good example of a high maintenance girl. Or they could just be a crazed lover. And that's the more codependent type, where like they just get so singularly fixated on you and nothing else. They're like, this must be done together. There is a genuinely good argument for being in a long-term relationship with the crazed lover type, because that is your ride or die bitch. That is a girl who will literally kill for you. But that also means that you could be the target of the killing if you piss her off too much. And so that girl she's fun, but she's a roller coaster. And so you have to be okay with that going in. If that's the thing you want, if you like that, and if you think you can handle that high maintenance thing, cool. Listen, more power to you. I love it. For me personally, I like the low maintenance. I like just let's kind of do our own things. And then, hey, look at that. We have a little bit of free time together. Let's do something cool together. Awesome. So to me, like, worker bee type is fucking chef's kiss. I love that. Nice and low maintenance. We can go our separate ways, do things, and then reconvene and do stuff together, and everybody's happier for it. So it's up to you whether or not you want to do things with those girls, but just be aware of what it is going in and that you cannot fix it.
Yeah, I think that sums it up very well.
That was a very long summation.
So the last question we have for today is, what are some good questions to ask a girl to help make escalating feel more congruent on a date?
Questions to ask to make escalating feel more congruent.
I think the basis of the question itself is kind of off.
Yeah.
Because if you have to ask specific questions to make your behavior seem like, it seems like you're trying to fake congruency, and that's not possible.
Right. I'm trying to wrap my head around this question. And like, I'm trying to give it the most generous read of like.
Okay, so let's remove the word congruent, and like, what type of questions can you ask to kind of trigger escalation, I guess, in a more, yeah.
I mean, like, there are some basic things that you could do, like what's the most ticklish spot on your body, or something like that. Like, that would be a question that naturally lends itself to some sort of physical escalation sooner rather than later. Right? Not saying that you immediately like try to tickle her, because that's not what you're doing, but you can.
Oh, I would go straight for it.
Well,
I would just go like right here.
Yeah. Right. So you can, but it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to. However, there are some questions that you can do, that you can ask, that would like plant the thought in her mind and your mind of physicality between the two of you, right? And so things like that, or things that lead towards that, or something like, oh, Paul, like this one, I'll steal this one from you, of like, and you're gonna have to help fix it because I don't remember it exactly, but something like, what music are we going to be making love to later on tonight?
Yeah. You go to the music bar and say, let's put on the 3 mood songs.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Or I have another one too, which is like, you ask the question of, so what are, do you have any of those weird spots on your body that is not inherently sexual, but like,
But it makes you feel
but
it.
it is?
Yeah,
Because that is a really good one, because there you can get a lot of different things.
sure.
Plus, it's a very good thing for later. So
Yeah,
you got to remember the answer.
yeah. I I kind of understand where this question is coming from, but I do agree with you that like it's a little bit off because all of these questions are useful and they're helpful and they work, but they only work when you're already there. Like you're already the person, you're already doing the thing. It's already congruent to who you are, and the escalation is already there, and it's already obvious, and it's already happening.
Yes.
The way that physical escalation and congruence work together is that it's not a question of if we can or should or anything like that. It's just the most natural thing in the world. This is just what happens next. That's it.
Like, if you go, say you go on, if you go on a date from an app where the inherent expectation is that this is a hookup.
So Tinder, yeah.
Yeah, Tinder. Like, you can instantly showing up on that date, after the first 15 minutes, you can already ask the girl to, okay, choose the 3 songs you need to get into the mood in bed. Because that was already on her mind, and you know it, she knows it, and no one cares.
Yeah, and if she hasn't left within the first 15 minutes, then she's here for it.
Yeah, then it's on, right?
Yeah.
Another one that I've used is a little bit more innocently, especially in Korea, and that is for girls that I would meet, like just randomly out when I'm drinking. Is I would sit really close, and then I would ask the question. I know Korea has a lot of weird things when it comes to PDA, but how about we just don't care and I kiss you? Because first of all, she's instantly going to think about it, and if she's already thought about it, the odds is that she is just going to kiss you, right? Like, you don't need to even initiate it, because you get into the point where this is already on her mind, and you trigger that last acceptance of, yes, this is where we're going. And then you might get the answer, no, not here in public. Then, okay, how about we go upstairs? Okay, fine, right? Because then you can feel out like what her inclination is to actually taking that step. At the same time, you are respectful and not overreaching any boundaries that she might have that you don't know about.
Yeah, I think that works well too. And the most important thing to answer with this question is the fact that the fundamental of the question was flawed. You need to develop that congruence and that natural confidence first before you try to shortcut it with questions, because that's not going to work the way that you think. I mean, it just won't. And one of the reasons that it won't is because the way that I say and phrase a question is based entirely on being congruent to me and who I am. And that's why it works well. And this is also why earlier, when I tried to remember the thing that Paul had told me that works well for him, I couldn't get it right. And whenever I said it, it even came off as sophomoric and like amateurish, and like I dropped the ball with it. And if I had said that to a girl in the way that I said it, it would have failed. Even though,
oh yeah, definitely.
Even though fundamentally it was the same concept, but it would have failed if I had done it in that way, because that phrase, that question was not native to me, right? It was not congruent to me and to who I am and to the way that I think. And so it would not have come off well. So that's why, like, we can give you examples of these things and of how they're used, but trying to memorize, okay, cool, ask this question and that'll make her think this or something like that. It doesn't work the way that you think it will because it isn't a formula. It's closer to like color theory in art, where there are some general rules, but they aren't really rules and they change every single time. And so like that's closer to what this is. So take from these answers and take from these examples the principles at play and why we ask certain things and why we say certain things and how it leads the thought process, but make it your own because that's the only way that it actually becomes congruent and natural for you.
Yeah. So I think the best question you can ask a girl whenever you are on the date is the question that feels right to ask at that point in time.
Exactly. Exactly right. Yeah. I like that a lot.
Because like you can plan out a lot in your head, and after you go on a lot of dates and you get very comfortable with who you are, you start to see the patterns of what you frequently use and frequently have success with. But when you're starting out or you're not that sure about yourself yet, then just asking the question that you think is right in that situation is the best thing to do. Because if the question is right for you, it's always going to be congruent to who you are.
yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And like anything else that we could give you here, it's not gonna fix the base problem. Like even if I gave you a surefire line for like, okay, cool, say this line and she will go with you back to your place. Okay, cool. But then what? Right? Like then you still have to be completely congruent and confident and escalate on your own because I can't be there to do it for you. Be like, okay, now take your hand. Okay, good. Yeah, now, right? Like, I can't do that for you. And so, like, you develop this congruence and develop this self understanding that helps you to know this is something I would say or this is something I would not say, and this is why. And this is something I would say instead that follows the same principle, right? Because that's important. It's like, don't throw away the things that we're saying and say, like, oh, well, I would never say that because I'm a nice guy. And I would never, like, okay, fuck off. Like, no, you're not. Well, I mean, maybe you are, but that's not a good thing, right? Then you're being incongruent in a different way. But learn this congruence, learn this self understanding, this self assuredness, and the rest of that will come because you already know the basics and the principles and all of the underlying stuff. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that covers it very well. And even if you are you can still be a nice guy without being a nice guy.
Right. Well, like that's the most normal thing in the world. Like
Yeah.
we always joke about Jackson asshole, oh Jackson asshole, whatever else, and like because it's fun and it's a fun little like thing to meme on. But I'm nice. I'm nice to the people that I like. I'm nice to strangers. I'm nice to the bartenders, to the staff. I'm nice to people. I'm nice. I'm not a nice guy, but I'm nice. The
Yeah,
thing is that like being nice doesn't that's just the bare minimum. That's like, okay, cool. You are a good functioning member of society. That is expected of you. That is
yeah,
not a thing that you get rewarded for.
yeah. I completely agree. I think a little bit off the original topic, but I think it's something that definitely relates to giving girls the ick, at least. Uh, so a lot of guys think, like with the whole nice guy versus bad guy or bad boy whole thing. I think what a lot of guys that tries to emulate or kind of get out of the nice guy pattern is that the bad boy is rude.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the first things, the most important things in anything is even though you're not going to be a nice guy, you're still going to be a gentleman. Like you're still going to be respectful and have those basics of how society works and how to function in society. And the better you understand yourself in that way, and the better you're able to present that, I think, is what's going to differentiate you the most from others.
Come here, buddy. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Simba's nice, but he's also an asshole.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you entirely, and especially that part about like you're not trying to be rude, you're not trying to be a bad human, because that's not what's attractive, right? What's attractive is standing up for what you care about, for what you believe in, not taking shit for no reason, not letting the world push you around. And that doesn't always mean shoving back. It could just mean being like, right, well, I don't like how this conversation is going, so I'm getting the fuck out of here. And I don't know, I probably won't ever see you guys again, so whatever, later. And then just leaving. Like,
yeah, I think the biggest factor here is self-respect.
Yeah. Yeah, having boundaries, having expectations, making those clear, and then enforcing them. And that's it.
Yeah.
Right. I did that whole thing about like how to kill your inner nice guy. And that was one of the big parts of it was defining your boundaries and just making it clear that you don't want to let people treat you in this way. And then if they do, enforce that. And that doesn't mean like punch them in the face. It could just mean cutting them out of your life.
Yeah, I was so sad I couldn't be here for that stream.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm so sad I couldn't be here for that stream.
Oh yeah. Well, that was a
bit. Yeah, that would have been a fun topic to be a part of.
Yeah, that was a good one, and that one was very pointedly directed at one of my new clients at the time who was suffering from really bad nice guy syndrome, and it helped him. And you know what? Like it completely turned everything around for him. At first, he fought back. He was like, "No, you don't get it, Jack. Like that's not why I'm nice. That's not how I act." And then like a few days later, he's like, "Okay, so maybe it is." But right, and then a few days later,
it's always the case.
Right. And then a few days later, he's like, "Okay, so maybe you were right about how to fix this." And then a few weeks later, he had the first girlfriend he'd ever had in his life, and I was like, "Hey, would you fucking look at that?" Papa Jack knew what he was talking about. Surprise!
Yeah, but anyway, that was it for the questions today. So,
okay, awesome. And our live viewers are being quiet today, I guess. No, I don't see any questions in there.
Yeah, it seems like they've already mastered dating.
They've nailed it. They've absolutely nailed it. All right, cool. Then we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. So first off, special thank you to Paul for being here. Like always, love you, buddy. Thank you so much for joining. For those of you who have watched this far, thank you so much. If you haven't done it yet, I'd really appreciate you dropping a nice thumbs up for me. It helps a lot. And one more time, we will not be having the live stream next week. And we should be back the week after that, but that is not guaranteed. Depends heavily on how everything is going around the house, but I'll keep you guys updated in the Discord chat for when we're going to return with the live streams. However, at least for right now, this is going on a temporary hiatus that may be 1 week, maybe a couple more. Unsure as of yet. But thank you guys for joining in. It's a pleasure, like always. And until next time.